Who am I to say what Christopher Eccleston does and does not know? For all I know, he killed JFK!
Welcome to Dr. What? My name is Sarah Trainer.
And I'm Jeannette Chen.
Hi, Jeannette.
Hi, Sarah. Oh my god. This is amazing.
Oh my god. Welcome to the podcast.
Yo, wow. Thanks so much. Dr. What? That's the... Oh man. Are you gonna tell me a little bit about this thing that you've invited me to?
Yeah. So this is a podcast where I am rewatching these episodes for the first time in like 9 years. I was super obsessed with Doctor Who for like all of my teenage years. It really just like shaped me into like the insane like cat girl I am today. And I wanted you on the podcast because you hadn't seen Doctor Who before, despite being, in that world. And it was just really interesting to me. I wanted to see your opinion. I want to watch the episodes with you. And so here we are on this podcast, chit-chatting. Tell me about you.
Oh yeah, sure. So you already mentioned, I am a part of the same world as you. I mean, look, I was on Tumblr in 2012,
You were there.
I was there, Gandalf. But funnily enough, I just never like got sucked into the whole like super Hulock thing. I really only saw a few like key episodes perhaps of New Who, but my aunt was really into classic Who, so that's really all I've seen. I've seen maybe some of the first Doctor and the fourth Doctor, a few episodes, but other than that, it's totally passed me by somehow. So I am just as excited as you are that you're having me on this podcast so we can chit chat about this thing because it's totally removed from me, and I think now it's the time to pop my Doctor Who cherry, take my Doctor Who virginity, which David Tennant, call me. I know you have a wife, but just call me up anytime.
I know you're the same age as my dad, and you have a wife and 3 children. But if you want to call a 22-year-old grad student...
I mean, I'm just... No way he's as old as your dad, really?
He is as old as my dad, yeah. I think he might be a couple years younger, but...
Wow.
Yeah, same age range. It's weird to think about. I don't like thinking about it.
That is crazy to think about. Okay, well, we won't talk about it anymore.
We're not gonna... We're in Christopher Eccleston's era.
This is true. But anyway. Anyway.
Do you want to go into the synopsis for the episode?
Sure. Before we do that, I was just going to talk about how these episodes are going to work, I think. So, as you said, how we're going to do this podcast is basically one of us will read the episode synopsis of the episode that we watched for the day. This one is Rose, the opening episode of the first series of the revived British science fiction television program Doctor Who.
Oh, she's so iconic.
So iconic. And then after the episode synopsis, perhaps after a few fun facts, we're going to immediately go into what we liked, what we didn't like about the episode, taking turns, and then having some general discussion about our thoughts. So without further ado, I can read the episode synopsis. This is via the TARDIS wiki. Rose Tyler believes she is living another day of her ordinary life, in scare quotes, but after being threatened by Autons, living plastic, controlled by the Nestine consciousness, she meets the Ninth Doctor. Wow. If I read this episode synopsis before I actually watched the episode, I'd be like, what the hell? Like, I don't...
No, especially if you don't know anything about Doctor Who. She meets the Ninth Doctor. Like, what does that mean?
Right, exactly. It's a little goofy. It's just a little goofy.
Yeah.
But
Imagine how confused she must have been, or she would have been, if he had introduced himself as the ninth Doctor.
right, she'd be like, "What do you mean the ninth one?" I'm pretty.
I mean, he doesn't like answer any of her other questions to begin with,
That's
so
true. So she would have just been confused in general.
yeah, the same way she is in this episode.
Exactly.
So,
All right. Well, now that we've said the episode synopsis, Sarah, why don't you give us what your favorite thing about the episode was?
my favorite thing about the episode is just Rose as a character. I think that she is absolutely fantastic. When I first watched this, like as like a 13-year-old, like I liked her. She was nice. I dressed up as her for Halloween, but it was kind of just like, I didn't think that I could dress up as the Doctor because I was a girl, so I dressed up as Rose. It was just that kind of thing. But watching it now as someone who has just like lived more life since I was 13, I found Rose to be just like really relatable, super fun. She's also just like so sassy, especially with her mom. Like when her mom is like, "You deserve compensation," and then like gives her the phone to like talk to the woman, and she's like, "Yeah, give it here," and she hangs up. Like she's so precious. I really enjoyed her. Yeah, so she was my fave.
Yeah. Ah, her mom was so real for that. Like, seriously, so real. Like, I know that
Yeah.
Rose was, like, kind of annoyed, but seriously, you should always get your workers' comp. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Rose, I loved how, like, kind of cheesy, early 2000s she was. Like, I could really feel that she was this young adult living in that era. Like, her bedroom was just so, like, early 2000s nostalgia. And
Mm.
she just, yeah, she's great. I really like her. She's a little rough around the edges. She's not like
Hmm.
the perfect like girl or anything like that. She's just kind of normal, and I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Speaking of her room, what I noticed about it too is like it's like super cramped, almost like she's ready to grow out of it. Like you
Hmm.
can see the point in time where she's at and like just like the kind of not necessarily the kind of well, I guess the kind of person she is. Well, maybe like the kind of person that she was,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know? It's this small bedroom that she probably spent her whole life in with this pink and purple comforter, and it's a little too small for her. And I feel like that just is emblematic of her life in general
Hmm.
up to this point. Like, it's getting a little too small for her. She wants to, like, leave, like she's ready, but she doesn't really know what to do or where to go.
Yeah, that totally is such a great characterization point of her too, like a silent characterization by just having it in like the set and how she dresses and everything, especially
Mm,
when she
yeah.
decides to, feel like fuck you, Mickey, and leave with the doctor. Like you can tell based on the space that she's in and the relationship that she has with the people around her, she's really yearning to get out, which
Hmm.
I think is awesome.
Yeah. Even the way that she just, like, acts at work. Like she wears just like her hoodie and like baggy jeans and is like half-heartedly folding clothes at work. Like she does not give a shit about the
You
job.
at Ocean State Job Lot.
Yeah. The vest that they gave me for work was like 3 times my size because they didn't have one in my size. It like went down to my knees. Like
Oh my God, you're so rose pilled. Like you're so Rose
oh my
Tyler.
god. I'm just exactly like Rose. Also, just going back to like that early 2000s point you made, like her like makeup
Oh
too,
my God,
like she's
yes.
like a bleach blonde with like hoop earrings and like the thick mascara and like the nude lipstick and the like she just is so
Yeah.
2005.
Ugh.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part of the episode, I think I just loved it as an introduction, like overall, especially coming out of Classic Who. I wasn't really sure what to expect for this like kickoff of a new series. I'm all in the fuddy-duddy of the past, but it felt sharp and fresh and like a great new take and the start of something that I can't wait to see where it's going next. So I think that is
Hmm.
definitely like just overall the way it progressed, the inciting incident. Yeah, I love it as an introduction to the
For
show. I
sure.
think is my favorite thing about it. Yeah, and the just the humor too, like in general, is it's
Hmm.
like just kind of goofy and it's perfect for the time, but it still gives way to some seriousness. Like it was a great episode. It was really wonderful.
Yeah. It's like the whole episode is very like goofy, but like is still very fun.
Hmm.
One of the facts I read on the Wikipedia about the episode was that like it was like super well received. It was the most watched Doctor Who episode since like 1979
Wow.
at that point. But like one of the things that was criticized about it was the humor.
Ugh,
But even then, it was like still widely received. But I don't know, like it works.
yeah,
Like you know what you're getting into. You're getting into this fun sci-fi show that can be goofy, but like you said, like there's this undercurrent of
yeah.
darkness, sort of, and like something more like there are things being put in place for something
Yeah.
more if you're paying attention closely enough.
Exactly. I can't believe that, well, I can believe that the humor was criticized because it was a little much sometimes, but it like was that
Puff puff
perfect
puff.
level
So,
of I mean it's camp now, I feel. Like
yeah, it
I mean
is.
one of my favorite maybe perhaps one of my favorite bits of the episode aside from just loving the episode overall, that bit in when the doctor goes to Rose's house and it, her mom is just kind of like she's in her like I just killed my husband robe and, like, and she's like oh like hi there and he's just like like what's he was like so oblivious. I loved that bit.
There's a strange
There's a
man
strange
in my
man in my
bedroom.
bedroom. Ooh, what's gonna
She
happen?
she is so she is also just so British.
She's so
She is
British.
so early 2000s British woman.
Yeah.
Like I she's fucking hilarious. When she's on the phone with her friends and she's like, you should see Rose, like her skin's withered like an old Bible."
It's so
Like she's
good.
so fucking
It's so
funny.
good. And it's so relatable to like to have that teen like young adult character and the mom who's like always embarrassing her, but you know, it's
Hmm.
very archetypal, but there's still so much like warmth and so much love there. Like you can tell she means well
Yeah.
even though she annoys the piss out of Rose. Like
Yeah.
she serves, she slays. She's got her cunt on a platter and she's serving it, you know? Like that's how she's serving cunt. Am I allowed to say cunt on Spotify? Oh my God.
I have no idea. I think
Okay,
so.
well,
Yeah, right?
whatever.
I was listening to a podcast the other day and they're like, yeah, she put her whole ass and pussy into that performance and like they just like said that straight up.
Okay.
So I think it's fine.
Well, as long as they were talking about Jackie Tyler, then
Yeah,
it's fine.
then it's fine. Yeah,
Then
yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine.
Speaking of cheesy things about the episode, I guess before we go into like the more serious parts and put our thinking caps
Hmm.
on, fucking Clive.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Though I love how they're in like that little like shed area and like he has a picture of the doctor at the Kennedy assassination and like instead of just like showing her the original picture he had and like circling the doctor's face, even it is pretty obviously like photoshopped in there,
Yeah.
right? Like you cannot miss that like Christopher Eccleston is at the Kennedy
Such a
assassination.
stupid.
But even like even if he was worried about it, he could have like circled it. But instead, he just like has a stack of photos and then like removes each photo from the stack to reveal it like zooming out to show that he is at the Kennedy
It's so
assassination.
good. It's literally so good. Like it's really the pinnacle of like 2005. There's this rando that I found on a forum who like is
Yeah.
obsessed with this topic. Like, of course, he wouldn't just like circle him. He had to print out multiple copies for dramatic effect. It's so goofy. And also, like, what? Why was he there? Like, why was he at the Kennedy assassination? He didn't do anything to stop it, as far as I can tell in our current timeline. So, like, what's the
Because
deal?
I it is weird, like in every time travel movie or show, the laws of time just like are kind of like a free for all.
Yeah.
Like, is this something that he couldn't have stopped? Is this something that he could have stopped? Because he did save that family from the Titanic, right? Like, does that not have any effect?
Maybe because they were nobodies, like, it didn't matter, but
But then it's like, how do you know if somebody's a nobody? Like, maybe like you save someone from the Titanic and then they become like Hitler or something. You don't know.
maybe the doctor does. You know? Who am I to say what Christopher Eccleston does and does not know? For all I know, he fucking killed Kennedy. For all I know, he killed JFK. You know, maybe he had to make sure that happened. Right? Was it like Lee Harvey Oswald? More like the Ninth Doctor. Wait, no, Lee Harvey Oswald. Right?
It was Lee Harvey Oswald.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Lee Harvey. I.
John Wilkes Booth
Yes.
killed Lincoln,
Yes.
but that's a pseudonym for the doctor.
Exactly. Sic semper tyrannis. More like sic semper. No. I was gonna say like.
Time Lord.
Well, actually, you would have to put the Time Lord in the dative case because it translates to "thus always two tyrants." So you would be saying "thus always two Time Lords," and that wouldn't work. So
That I think that works for me.
Oh, okay. So you think Time Lord should be assassinated?
Okay, no, we're gonna get into the serious part. I like kind of do.
Oh, okay, real. Let's talk about it. Why do you want him to be assassinated?
Okay. I don't want him to be assassinated per se. Listen, I think Christopher Eccleston's performance is great. I enjoy him as the Ninth Doctor. I'm interested to see more. You know, like when I first watched it, he didn't really leave that much of an impression on me. I was like a big David Tennant girl.
Hmm.
Because, you know, I was basic.
Oh,
I mean, whatever.
oh, well, you did, of course, have a cardboard cutout of him in your basement. So that says
I,
something.
um, I, hmm. the power imbalance between the Doctor and Rose, it gives me the ick. She's 19, and in the scene where her and Mickey are at that restaurant, her and like weird plastic
Ugh,
Mickey, who's so fucking
I
funny,
hate
by the way.
him. I hate him. He's the worst. I didn't really care for normal Mickey. I'm gonna be real.
Okay,
I know.
listen.
You feel very strongly about, and I understand why you feel very strongly about normal Mickey, but just the, yeah, get your kilf. Like, come on.
That's so funny.
So, it's just
He's just
so,
like,
he's such a mid boyfriend. You know what I mean? But,
no, but like, here's the thing. Every boy that you date when you're 19 is gonna be like kind of dumb and kind of mid, but they mean well. And like Mickey means well, and I feel like he will grow as a person like many boys at 19. I feel like he deserved better than what he got. Like
okay.
just because he's not the doctor doesn't mean that he's a bad guy.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I can
I
agree with you
am
there.
Mickey Defense Squad.
I know, Mickey, Defense Squad. No, and that's fair. And I do actually agree with you about the Doctor and Rose, like they're flirting, kind of giving me the ick too.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I know if I had watched this when I was younger, like I totally would have been all over it. I would have been like, "Oh my God, like the Doctor and Rose, like this is crazy." But it's
For
now
sure.
that we're both 22, which is not that far off from 19, but still, you can really feel the imbalance, not even just of their ages, because Christopher Eccleston, I don't know how old he was, like, in real life when they filmed this, but, like, there's also the power imbalance of him quite literally, like, knowing all of this stuff, like, all, more than her. You know, he's literally like a freaking time jumping alien. It's kind of the same argument that people have for vampires and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, he's a supernatural
Yeah.
entity, bringing this back. The fact that he kind of, like, rejects Jackie's advances, but then goes and is like, okay, hey Rose, like, aha. I mean, he doesn't do that, but you know what I mean. It's just really interesting. It's a little ick. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just a product of the time of the writers of the show or if it was like intentionally supposed to be. I don't know, but it does leave kind of a bad taste in your mouth revisiting it, the
For
power
sure.
dynamic. Yeah.
Like, yeah, what you were saying before, like watching it as you're older. When I first watched it, I did not think about the imbalance of power at
Mhm.
all. Like, it didn't even cross my mind. I saw them flirting. I was like, oh, time traveling alien, like, sign me up. Like, I did not think
Mhm.
about it. But yeah, now, dude, if an all knowing alien who traveled through time and space just, like, showed up at my doorstep and was just, like, talking nonsense about the Earth's rotation and like in the same breath being like, you lot are so stupid. Like, he's so hot and cold with
Yeah.
her. Like, he just explains everything at once and is like, wow, like, you said that it was students. Like, that's a job well done. And then it's just like, all you do is just watch TV and, like, sit your ass on the couch and, like, whatever. Like, he just, I would say no thanks and shut the door. Like, I think that that's so
Patronizing.
shitty and
Yeah.
weird. Yeah, he patronizes her throughout the episode, but then what's interesting, and I think that this is a thing that we'll have to see like as the season
Mhm.
progresses, because as you mentioned, this is a good like intro, so maybe we'll see the cracks showing more.
Mhm.
But at the very end of this episode, when he invites her to travel with him, he does seem really like lonely and like dejected when she first like rejects
Mhm.
him. And I feel like that shows like that sort of like deeper underlying theme that we were talking about earlier. That's sort of like hinted at throughout this episode, like the subtext of it, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I didn't even mention the restaurant. The thing that Rose said at the restaurant, I don't think.
Mhm.
When she was with Plastic Mickey. What I wanted to say was that when she we got distracted by Plastic
Yes,
Mickey.
I hate Plastic Mickey. That's my thing I hate about the episode. Just to get that out of the way.
Plastic Mickey.
He's so like first of all, and I'll this will be a short tangent. First of all, how did she not know it wasn't really him? Like uh,
It's literally he looks so
he looks
different.
so different and he's acting so strange and weird. Uh, like it's just awful. And also the way he gets like taken over too with the stupid garbage can. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, are you joking right now? But, whatever. Please continue.
She is just kind of like talking at him about like her life and like taking stock of her life now that her job has like exploded and she's unemployed and doesn't really know what to do next. She's like, "Yeah, I dropped out of high school to be with like this guy and that didn't pan out and I didn't go to university, so now I'm just here." And it's just kind of like, like I didn't notice that the first time I watched it when I was younger, but now that I have noticed that, I'm like, that says a lot about Rose's character and like why she would run away to be with the doctor. That inclusion makes me think that maybe something will happen later on. Because even though I know plot wise what happens, I
Mhm.
feel like the thematic and like character meanings didn't really like click at the time. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe the ick is supposed to be intentional. I really don't know. I feel like it's so unclear.
Yeah, and that is interesting, like bringing that back to what we were talking about before about how she's like kind of outgrowing her surroundings, but it's also not necessarily an outgrowing because it's kind of a continuation of behavior, right? That kind of impulsivity, her dropping out of school to be with a guy, then dropping out of this timeline to be with the Time Lord and, travel through space. So it'll be interesting to see, like, how she grows from that, if she does grow from that. And, I don't know. Like, how she'll grow as a
Yeah.
character from that.
And then like
Because maybe the ick will get
no,
her.
yeah,
Maybe the
like
ick will get her.
if Rose does grow and does start to like change her mind regarding this, how will that affect the doctor then? Like, will he grow too? Because right now he kind of just seems like
Yeah.
an overgrown child,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
chasing
Yeah.
after this like younger woman because, I mean, we don't know his exact age at this point, but I think, you've watched some classic Who, and like, even from this episode, you can infer that he is sort of this
Hmm.
like all knowing being that is probably really old, right? Like the way he talks about the earth and
Hmm.
seeing the
Hmm.
whole universe, like, yeah, so he knows a lot. He's lived through a lot. So Jackie Tyler, then, by comparison, would be young to him, but she doesn't have that like young energy and like impulsivity that Rose has. I guess it's just weird. Or it makes sense that he would go for someone that's like super young because he himself seems stunted, but it is a little
Hmm.
strange. Yeah, I feel like I trailed off a bit at the end there, but do you catch my meaning?
No, you're all good. Yeah, no, I totally got you. So, would you say that that was like your least favorite part of the episode, the kind of like ick factor with the doctor, or was there
I
something else?
would say that you know what? Yeah, that's my least favorite part, but also in a less serious way, my least favorite part is that Clive got nerfed.
Hmm.
Um, he didn't deserve that. The look on his face where he's just like, "Oh, they got me." He knew the whole time. Like,
They fucking got me. Imagine getting got by like a plastic mannequin army. Like that's just so, don't shoplift. Right? Like watch out. It's just like
how did the mannequins
I'm just
have gun in
imagining.
their hand?
Yeah, yeah, you know.
Does that imply then that like all mannequins have guns in their hands?
I mean, you don't
Yeah,
know.
you don't know for sure until you get in a situation like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're
So
gonna get Clived.
there's more than just there's more than just the alarm at the door. There's also the mannequin cop that will shoot you in the head if you shoplift from Hot Topic. Though Hot Topic doesn't have mannequins, so I guess that doesn't work.
It'll just be like me. I'll,
You're just in there. You're in every
I'm
Hot
in my
Topic,
spirit is in
ready to.
every hot topic with a gun, ready to shoot. That we were Americans. Sorry, I.
You know what? Well, we can't all have a chintzy little, sonic screwdriver to just like at the mannequin. We need to have Second Amendment protection. You know, that's
No,
just
that's
bad.
so
I don't.
facts. I fully agree. We're not gonna get into the Second Amendment, but like, yeah, I don't think. Anyway,
You know.
yeah.
We'll digress. But yeah, was there anything else we wanted to talk about in the episode? We think.
Oh, fucking the nesting consciousness.
Right. Yes, that line in the scene where they're like about to, which also going back to just how much I love the episode overall. Even it felt very predictable while I was watching it, even though I didn't, I've never seen it before. But when they're sitting and they're like, where could it possibly be like have its base of operations? And it like pans over to the London Eye. Like it's so predictable, but it's so good. It's so cute. I loved that.
Hmm.
But yeah, that line that the Nestine consciousness has when they're having that confrontation, he's like, "Oh, you let everybody die, like what the hell or whatever." And then the doctor's like, "I couldn't save you. Like I couldn't save any of you or whatever."
Yeah, I just want to point out though that the nesting consciousness like doesn't really. I don't think it says anything. I think it's just like rah, rah, and the doctor is just like responding to it until it says just like in perfect clear English, Time Lord,
Yeah.
which like I mean like one it's a great like little hint as to like what's to come. But two, I
Mm.
love how it like you are just like assuming that it doesn't speak English or any human languages at all and that the doctor just understands like this alien language until it just says
Uh-huh.
like Time Lord. Like why were you speaking the whole time like in English if like you
For the
knew.
drama, duh. I mean, any creature that's going to possess all the mannequins, like, in the country and, like, send them after people, like, it's got a flair for the dramatic, you know?
No, I can't. I love that, like, just like in this world, like in the world of Doctor Who, a plastic alien just came to London and possessed like all the mannequins in England, like specifically. I think this is something that we're gonna like probably talk about like later on, but just like England as
Hmm.
like the source of like all alien activity is so fucking funny.
Wait, no way that there's actually, like, a plot relevant reason, like, why England has so much shit going on in it.
I
Is
honestly,
that real?
I don't know. To be honest, they're probably. I was just saying, like, it's funny that,
Oh,
like I know
okay.
that it takes place in England because it's like a British show, and
Right, right. Okay, I get it.
yeah,
I
it's
get it.
just
I was gonna say, could you imagine if they're like, yeah, well, England's just like that because of a long-standing, like, seismic under, that would be crazy.
I.
That'd be crazy.
I'm not gonna say anything. Actually, I'm like, never mind.
Oh, T? No way. England's just like that, confirmed.
I. If you listeners, if you live in England, let us know like why there are so many aliens.
Or maybe if you listeners are in England, you are an alien.
Oh shit.
Do you?
Meow, meow.
Oh, man.
I don't think that there's anything else. I feel like we touched on most of the main parts of the episode.
Yeah, I think so. I think all I wanted to say back with the Nestine consciousness is I like the idea, like this introduction of the Doctor as kind of having a bit of a savior complex, like having
Mm.
this savior mentality, that even though he thinks that humans are like, stupid and annoying and whatever, he still goes out of his way to take out the Nestine consciousness and save all the humans in England and stuff.
Yeah. Even though, like, I guess they are violating the Shadow Proclamation, as the Doctor mentions, and like invading their
Yes.
planet. But
Yeah.
even though he does still feel guilty about like whatever the
Yeah.
Nesting consciousness was talking about with the Time War and everything. But he still like makes a point of like saving the humans and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is a
Just
fascinating.
interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Yes, he's fascinating. Yes.
Stuff to chew on until we get to the next episode.
Ang nang 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 nang. That's us chewing on it. So
Yummy.
yummy. Listeners, when we first started recording for this episode, I was like, okay, like, let's, I'm ready to go. And there was this long pause, and Sarah goes, yummy. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know if I'm going to include that in the episode. Why don't you give us an introduction? Just had to put that in there.
Sometimes I don't know what to say.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's why we're both here.
Thanks.
Thanks. Now I'm just making noises to prolong the conclusion of this episode. But
Wee.
anyway,
Yeah.
ooh, thanks so much for listening, for tuning in. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye bye.
Bye. Toodaloo.